Hi everybody, welcome back to Paleo Cooking Live. I just wanted to put my lipstick on before we get started today because it's National Lipstick Day and I'm wearing my beauty counter red. Matches my apron. Anyway, I'm just being silly. I've got two dishes that I'm cooking for you today. One is a pulled pork, which you see here, and the other is a Korean beef. And that's this. And they're both finished, so I'll talk you through the process because they do take a little while. But the nice thing about both of these dishes is you can do them fast or slow. Over here off camera, I have my Instant Pot and my slow cooker. And I'm gonna show you that whichever dish you choose, or both, you can do either dish in either piece of equipment. So if you're in a big hurry because you just got home from work, you can have this Korean beef done in 45 minutes. The pork takes a little longer, but 2 hours in a pressure cooker or in an Instant Pot versus 4 to 6 hours in the slow cooker. So let's get started. I'm gonna set these aside and I'm gonna get started. Now what makes this beef so easy is this sauce. I call it Far East, Far Out sauce. Or is it Far Out, Far East sauce? Yeah, that's it. It's just a combination of some Asian flavors, and I mix it up in a jar. This was actually inspired by Nom Nom Paleo. I love everything she does. So I took a few liberties with the recipe, but essentially I got it from her website and turned it into this. The first thing is 1 cup of coconut aminos, which you know I use as a replacement for soy sauce. So that's 1 cup. And if you're feeling a little bold, try the new Primal coconut aminos. This stuff is killer. And it's got a little wasabi in it, so it'll give it a little extra kick. And then I'll do 1 cup of pineapple juice. You can use orange juice. Her original recipe calls for orange juice, but it says you can substitute pineapple. And the thing I like about this pineapple juice, I get it from Trader Joe's. It comes in these little cans. It's not from concentrate. It's 100% pineapple with no additional sugar. So I'm just gonna add a cup of that. Maybe drink the rest, maybe with a little rum. The next thing is just a 1/4 cup fish sauce. And again, this recipe is on the website. It's called Far Out Far East sauce. And then I have 1 cup of bone broth. You can use chicken or beef. I like the chicken because it's a little more neutral flavor and it goes with everything. So, sorry, I guess I didn't unwrap these first. And bone broth has basically everything that the regular chicken stock is gonna have, but it's got that little extra from the cartilage in the bones that gives you the collagen, which is so good for gut health. It's great for your hair, your nails. Anytime you can add collagen to anything you're doing, go for it. So some fresh ginger, which as you know, I just grate right into whatever I'm making. I'm using my grater. I didn't peel it or anything. Just grating it in. The skin is gonna stay on the top of the grater and the ginger's gonna go in. And I'm doing about a tablespoon. I'll just take the top part off like that so no skin goes in. I'll flip it over. Look at all that yummy ginger. Just put it right in there. And then last, this is Chinese 5-spice powder. I use this in a lot of different Asian dishes for the flavoring. It's kind of a sweet, spicy, almost like a chai sort of spice. So along with the wet ingredients, I have 2 teaspoons of granulated garlic, some 5-spice Chinese powder, and some onion powder. The reason I'm not using fresh for this, except for the ginger, I want that really pungent ginger flavor rather than dried ginger. If you have dried ginger, use that. But I like the dried ingredients in a sauce or a marinade because that way when you cook it or let's say grill it, you don't get those hard burned bits of garlic or onion. So that's going in, and that's all there is to it. Now I'm just gonna put the lid on, shake it up, and I have this delicious sauce. That's it. And we're gonna use that sauce on the Korean beef. Get my cutting board out of the way. You know this trick, right? Put a little towel under your cutting board and then it doesn't slide around. It's a fabulous trick. This is my Instant Pot. I just bought it on Amazon. I'm trying to see who's talking to me here. I'm not good with the technology these days. I don't know how I can see myself live. Here we go. Sorry, I'm gonna have to reach over. Hello everyone, sorry I can't read your questions from here. So my Instant Pot has a liner. I've already got it hot. And I'm going to add some olive oil. I've got Casandrinos olive oil here, of course. About a tablespoon. And then I'm going to take about 2 pounds of this beef stew meat. What I did was I bought a rump roast and I just cut it up into pieces, okay? So here it is, just pieces of stew meat. Typically this would cook low and slow, but since we're doing it in the Instant Pot, we're basically gonna emulate the low and slow, and it'll be done in 45 minutes. Now you can buy it. I'm adding salt. I give it a generous shake of a good kosher salt and toss it around. So when I bought this meat, it's grass-fed stew meat or grass-fed rump roast. It was $2 more a pound to buy it already cut up. So I just bought a rump roast. It was tied, the butcher had it tied, and I just took all of the strings off and cut it into stew-sized pieces. So you can save yourself a couple bucks a pound. It took me about 20 minutes to prep it. And I would say I probably needed to throw away about a half a pound. I'm gonna wash my hands. And that's because when it's a roast and you trim it, you don't really mind some of the fat pieces so much because the fat is gonna render out when you're cooking it slow as a whole roast. But when you're cooking it as just a stew, you're gonna end up with those pieces that are more bite-sized, 1 or 2 inch cubes with big pieces of fat, and you wanna trim those off. I was using my fillet knife and just going through it and trimming it off. So in the restaurant business or in the food industry, we call it edible portion. If I had a 4-pound roast and I lost about a half a pound trimming it, the edible portion would be 3.5 pounds, and you use that to calculate your food costs. So, you know, you might be looking at a more expensive cut of meat, or you could do a cheaper cut of meat like this. Even with that edible portion amount left over, you still have a really good value, and it's delicious. Now, what I'm doing is browning it, and I'm looking for that sear on the outside of the meat. I'm not just waiting for it to turn gray. If it sticks a little bit, that means that the sear isn't complete yet. So that's just gonna sear. And I'll show you once one of the pieces gets there. My Instant Pot is on the saute setting, and then when we go to cook it, I'll put it on the high setting and close the lid and put the steam. While that's going, I'm gonna chop up some onion. Set that there. Again, I always put a towel under my cutting board. And I've got about a half an onion here, and I'm just gonna cut it into strips. I'm not gonna dice it today. I want those strips to be part of the finished dish, and the onions have some body that way. I don't have to saute the onions first because they're really gonna cook and caramelize with the meat. So I can throw them in after and it saves me a step. So all I'm doing here is keeping my fingers back. You guys have seen me do this 100 times. And my thumb in the back of the onion and using my knuckles to slice down. So my fingertips are out of the way. And I'm just using my fingers, sliding them back slightly for every slice, which is about not quite a quarter of an inch thick. And then when I get to where it's really skinny, I lay it flat. So we're always working on the flattest surface possible. Okay? That's it. And they'll come apart on their own when we throw them in the meat. Let's see how the meat's doing. Yeah. See this nice, crispy brown. This is what you want. See that nice crispy brown? You want that on all sides because you're sealing in the flavor and you're sealing in the juices. Otherwise, you're just gonna boil it because there's a lot of meat, a lot of liquid in this meat. Yeah, these are looking awesome. I'm just gonna turn them over. And yes, you have to pick up each one and turn each one over. But it's techniques. These are the techniques that you want to know. So when you're making these dishes, they come out the way they should. Oh, look at that one. Look how nice and brown that is. That's what we want. That's just going to make a nice crust and seal in all that flavor. I mean, we didn't put anything in here but salt so far. So now we're going to throw in the onions. Just gonna slide these right in. And then we're gonna add our secret sauce. And then if you want, you can go ahead and add additional chicken stock or bone broth. I have that in the recipe. I'm not doing that today because I added some to the broth and there's a lot of liquid already happening in here, so I don't want it to be too liquidy. So I'm just gonna add about half of this jar. It made about 2 cups. So I'm only gonna need a cup, and this will cook down in about 45 minutes. And we're gonna get that end result that you saw when I showed you when I first came on live. The other thing that I'm throwing in, and this is totally optional, is these dried shiitake mushrooms. Now these guys will rehydrate and probably double in size. And then if you feel like fishing them back out, you can pull them out when the dish is finished and chop them up. I'm just gonna do 2. They're full of flavor. They're absolutely delicious. And they give this dish that umami flavor that you love in anything Asian, or anything at all for that matter. So now with my Instant Pot, I put the lid on and I make sure the steam valve is closed. Eventually, you can't really see it from this angle, but there's a little red pressure valve here that will pop up. Now I'm just gonna set it, cancel, so I can reset, manual setting, and then I'll use the timer and go up to 45 minutes. Now you won't see it done because we won't be together that long, but you already saw the finished dish. And this is it. And you can see I have these delicious slices of mushrooms from those dried shiitakes that I just pulled out and sliced up. When the 45 minutes is up, we're gonna add some some fresh vegetables. I've got these multicolored carrots sliced on a bias because I like all that surface area and it just makes the vegetables taste better. I don't know why, it just does. I've got purple and orange and then some Yukon Gold potatoes. When this is done, I'll quick release the steam rather than letting it dissipate on its own, put the vegetables in, another 8 minutes, and the vegetables are done. 8 minutes, it's amazing, and it's delicious. And then you can finish it with some nice cilantro. And again, I slice the scallions on a bias and just put those on top. You can serve this over the cilantro lime cauliflower rice if you're staying grain-free like I do. We're gonna have this for dinner. I might even sneak a little bit for lunch. The next thing I wanna show you is in my crock pot. So what I've started first are just 3 pieces of bacon. Okay, this is uncured, no sugar bacon, so there's no nitrates, no nitrites, any of those terrible things. Just pork. And I've got the pork fat that I rendered from the pork, from the bacon, in the bottom of the pan. Now I have a pork roast. It's a bone in. I'll slide this guy out of the way so you guys can see. And it has a nice fat cap. It's tied. I'm gonna leave it tied. It does have the bone in, as I said. And now I'm just gonna take some garlic cloves and I'm gonna stick the garlic cloves into the meat. It's literally the only seasoning you need, along with the salt. Always salt. So I'll show you how I peel the garlic. You probably already know this. You've seen me do it before, but this is a good trick. Just gonna take the garlic clove and I'm gonna smash it with the flat side of my blade. Just enough, not to annihilate it. We wanna crush it, but just enough to get that skin loose. See, it comes right off, okay? And then we're gonna slice it into some slivers. And I'm doing the same technique with my thumb in the back and using my fingers as a guide. And now I have all these nice slivers. I have some already for you to see. And now I'm gonna take my fillet knife or any small paring knife, whatever you have, and I'm gonna poke a hole in 2 directions so it looks like an X. You see that? Then I'm gonna just shove the garlic right into that hole. And I'm gonna go all around the meat, wherever I don't hit a bone. And this is amazing seasoning. I do this with leg of lamb, pork, even a beef roast if you want. And it really helps get that flavor all the way through the meat, not just on the top. I usually buy all my meats at Whole Foods. You can buy your meat wherever you can afford meat. I like grass-fed or pastured meats. I think they have more nutrients. And like I said, if you don't want to pay the butcher to do the extra work, you can do it yourself. Practice your knife skills. You know, we're starting a Whole30 on Saturday. I've got my group all set. We're working on prep right now. And we call days 5 and 6, kill all the things. So that's a great time to practice your knife skills. So you don't have to kill anybody. Don't take it out on the kids, take it out on the onions or the pork. So I've gone all the way around and I've shoved in all these giant pieces of garlic. And now I'm just gonna put it right into this bacon fat, okay? And I'm putting the fat cap up so that will render out while it cooks. And then just gonna lay these slices of bacon right over the top. So you can see that. You see that? Okay. You put the lid on and that's gonna go for 4 hours. 4 hours, maybe 4.5. It just kind of depends on the size of meat that you have. And because it's the crock pot and not the Instant Pot, you can take the lid off and check it. And if it's tender and it shreds with a fork very easily, then you know it's done. And I'll show you because, sorry, I'm making a lot of noise today. This guy is done. The other thing I love about my crock pot, and not everybody's is like this, but I intentionally found this one a long time ago. As you know, all my equipment are beasts. This guy, the pan, the insert is actually, oh, I forgot to put salt. The insert is actually metal. Has a little bit of a non-stick coating. I'm not crazy about that, but that's what it is. Rather than ceramic, and I can put this directly on the heat. So if I wanted to do that bacon really fast, I can put the liner, the insert, on the burner, cook the bacon really fast, render out that fat, and then drop the whole thing into the crock pot and let it slow cook the rest of the day. I do that with onions. I do that with ground beef if I'm making some kind of a tomato-based sauce or meat-based sauce like spaghetti sauce. Works out great every time. So let's see. Let me grab a couple forks and I will show you. This is just gonna come apart like you can't believe. And if you've done this before in the oven or in the crock pot or in the Instant Pot, you can see the results are pretty much the same. The thing I love about these appliances is if I'm prepping everything on a Saturday or Sunday, I can just get it done. And you can see this is just a little twist of the fork and it's shredded. And it's juicy and succulent, and there's really no flavor to it except for that garlic and salt, which is just so delicious, and it literally falls off the bone. Look at that. I'll just take that whole bone right out. And there's a few strings on here, so I want to make sure that I get those out of the way. Now at this point, you can serve it just like this. You can put some barbecue sauce on it. You can throw it in a skillet and get those nice crispy edges, which I think is a delicious way to reheat it. But you've got it in the fridge all week long. It's a great way to have some things prepped. If you're like me and you're just busy all day and you're trying to find something quick and nutritious to eat, it's already in the fridge. Your family can take it for lunches to go. School's coming back. I don't know who's going to school and who's staying home, but that's another topic for another day. We won't get into that here. And then you can take those little pieces of bacon that cooked with it the whole time and chop those up. So then you get the bacon bits, real bacon bits, in with the pork. The other recipe that I have on the website is my Southwest cauliflower rice, which I have prepared right here. The Southwest cauliflower rice is some chopped onions sauteed in some olive oil or avocado oil, a little garlic, and then I cook the cauliflower until it's dry. You don't want it wet. That's the problem that a lot of people have with cauliflower rice, is they just don't like the texture. But if you cook it long enough, it'll dry out and get that rice consistency. And then I add a half a can of tomato paste and some cilantro and a can of the finished peppers, like the chili peppers. There's a really good brand that is organic, and I can't think of the name right now. It escapes me, but any kind of pepper like that, if you like, go ahead and add that in. If you're nightshade free, you can leave that out. Some seasoning, and it's done. I put a little chopped cilantro. Now I can take some of this pork that we just finished and put it right on top. Maybe I'll have this for lunch. And then we can cut an avocado. Whole 30, we call it stuff over stuff. You start with a base, greens, some kind of vegetable, sauteed vegetable, or the cauliflower rice. You add your protein, in this case it would be the pork, and then you can put something yummy on top of that. This is a big seed in this avocado today. There we go. I always slice down the middle, give it a twist. Oh yeah, he's not really ripe yet. Well, this is live, folks, so this is what you get. Yeah, there's a big pit in there. I'm just going through it where I can get all the way through the flesh with my knife in 2 directions. Try not to go all the way through the skin because you don't want to get your hand. And then I'll just take a fork and scoop that out. And that's a nice topping. And it's a healthy fat. And we love healthy fats. So that's everything I have for you today. We did the Far Out Far East sauce, the pulled pork over the cauliflower cilantro Southwest rice, and this delicious Korean beef. Again, you can put this on the cilantro lime cauliflower rice. If you like regular rice, you can do that. But since I'm doing everything paleo and Whole30, this is the best way for me, and I love the way it tastes. I hope you enjoy it too. Let me know if you try it. Again, we're starting Whole30 on Saturday. There's still a couple days left. I've got room for people that want to sign up, so feel free to DM me or go on my website and enroll under Enroll Here. Pretty simple. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.